Hi, Patrice here. um, so I did a video where I read from this journal that I have that is my like remothering kind of journal, where I'm dealing with like inner child work. And so I read an entry from that, and I'm not sure if I'm going to post that video or not. This is so difficult because this whole journey is sharing this journey is about being able to help others and, of course, helping myself and being authentic and that whole thing and transparent. But it's rough because stories are gonna come out, and I know exactly what I'm dealing with, just in case somebody else picks up. I'm sure many people will pick up on and be able to say, oh, that's, I know exactly what this is that I'm dealing with. And I don't wish to play any games or like partake of any roles, or I don't want to be a part of any of that. I just simply want to share my journey. So, but by sharing my journey, I don't want to inadvertently play a role. So it's kind of tough in that way. But I do know that I feel called to do this. So here I am. I'm accustomed to following God in a direction that I don't really know a whole lot about, but I'll go and something great always comes out of it. So, there's that. And that's awesome. So today I'm in, I don't know how many days it's been now, but I have this like deep sadness, and it's settled in my chest and in my stomach and like all that. And it's just painful, but I'm grateful for the awareness of it, because you can't, if you're not aware of something, how are you going to do something about it? So I'm very grateful for this. And I was so sized. That's a DC thing, I think. I don't know. But anyway, I'm excited, I'll say. So I was chatting with somebody, and I was just laughing as I was telling them about my pain. And because I told you in the first video, I laugh when things aren't funny. And so I was laughing, telling them, like, oh my gosh, like I'm so not okay today. I'm not okay. And I'm just laughing as I'm telling them. And then before I knew anything, I was crying like crazy. I was just like, it was so sad. And I was like, oh, I don't understand. I don't understand. Why would my own mother excuse me. I was like, why? Why would my own mother treat me like this? I have 5 children. I would never do anything like this to any of them. I would never treat any of them this way. And then I felt happy because I realized I was crying. And not only was I crying, because I cry easily. Anybody who knows me knows that. But I was crying for me that time. And that is something that I don't do a whole lot of, because part of it is because growing up I wasn't allowed to feel, because for whatever reason it was like, and I'm sure culturally many can identify with this, but if you're a child and you're crying because maybe you wanted something to go a certain way, you're being manipulative. Never mind that you're 3 or 4 or 7 or 10, and you're not being manipulative. You're freaking sad because, hello, you wanted something to go a certain way, and it was completely out of your control, and you couldn't, do anything to make it go your way. And so you were sad. and rightfully so. And no one said, oh, being sad is okay, and I'm sorry you feeling this way. Perhaps no validation, no nothing. It's just shut up. Sometimes, I don't remember my mother saying, I'll give you something to cry for. I don't remember that. But because I learned to not cry, like, I didn't, it was like, don't, So, I just grew up with my feelings. Just, I had to stuff them, you know, and, even with my children, my, children were taught, like, shake it off. And, and it's like, no, how about we process these feelings and deal with them, because feelings aren't good or bad. They're just feelings. They're just there, and we ought to deal with them, because then, when you don't deal with them, they're still there. They don't, they're just this repressed. And then you have this adult who grows up and has no idea how to process their feelings, and they act crazy, or have a hard time of it, to say the least, because they've never been taught, you know. And meanwhile, I do realize that it was perhaps that way because my mother wasn't taught, So it's an ongoing cycle. But again, this is a cycle I'm done with. I'm not doing this anymore. And so I look at different things. Like one day, my son, my 5-year-old, he wanted to stay up and play some game. And we were telling him that it was time to go to bed. And he got upset and he started to cry. And my husband started to get annoyed because he was really going off crying. My son can't milk it though. But anyway, so my son was going off crying and my husband was getting mad. And I was like, no, leave him alone, And so I started thinking to myself, okay, how do I help him through this? And then I started to cry because I was thinking, I don't know how to deal with this. I don't know how to process this. Like, and then God was like, calm down, calm down. Like, we can do this. We can do this together. And so eventually what I did, as long as my son allowed me to, I held him in my arms as he cried. And I was thinking to myself, and I said to my husband too, I said, this little boy wants to stay up and play his game. He has no control over whether or not he can actually do that. And in this case, he can't. So he's being told, no, you can't do what you want to do. You have to go to bed. And so naturally, just like we would be if somebody told, like my husband plays the games too. If I told you, you can't play the game right now, you got to go to bed, you would be like, what? Like, you would be offended. You wouldn't care for that at all. And in fact, you would tell me, I'm going to play my game because that's what I want to do. Well, this little boy doesn't have that option. So naturally he's upset. So let's help him to process this. Let's reason with him when possible, where possible, and just be there for him as he's dealing with his feelings about all this, because he's now at a point where he's a little more independent and can do some things for himself, but he's still pretty much at our mercy when it comes to, being able to do certain things or not being able to do certain things. So understandably, he's going to get upset about some of this, and we ought to be able to step back and not take offense to his offense, but be the adults and help him through it. So that's where I am. And that was how I was able to help myself and my son and my husband process that whole situation. And I'm happy. I'm like, okay, this is how we do this. All right. So it's cool. But yeah, I'm just trying to allow myself to feel as well, because I will have a way, I notice now, of if I'm feeling emotions that I really don't want to deal with, especially the sadness. I can be mad, although it takes a lot for me to get angry, but it's easier to get angry because with anger, you feel like you're in control. Whereas sadness, you're more vulnerable and it feels too victimizing. And it's like, oh, no, I don't want to feel this. So I tend to go and try to do something, whether that's clean the house or just do something. And I'm now coming to a place where I'm like, no, go ahead and let yourself feel those feelings. Feel it, explore it, figure out what it is that you're really feeling. Because a lot of times when we have anger, it's really sadness underneath or fear underneath. And again, those are two emotions that are a little more like vulnerable. So a lot of times we just shy away from that and we prefer the anger. But I'm just dealing with all that, and it's interesting. It's very interesting. But I just don't want. I hate how this is impacting my health a bit, and I'm trying to really get a handle on that, because I'm just not going for that. I don't live a lifestyle where I'm eating or just lazing about in a way that would warrant me to have health issues. So I'm not willing to allow stress to do that to me, because I eat. Like, what's the point of eating well and running and lifting weights and walking and doing all this stuff if you're just going to allow stress to take you out? No thanks. So that's where I am. Again, at the point of posting this video, I don't know if I posted the other video. If I haven't, it wasn't meant to be. But if I have, tell me what you think. So I want to hear from you anyway, regardless. So if you like this video, click like, subscribe, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.